Hello traders, and welcome to NOFT's Weekly Market Compass, where we help you navigate the week ahead. Our Weekly Market Compass is brought to you by our head trader Troy, who in between assisting traders and taking the next step in their careers, provides weekly and daily guidance in our live trading room every single day. Before we get into this week's guidance, we need to remind you that trading does carry significant risk, and all information in this video is just provided for educational purposes only and is not an offer or recommendation to trade future stocks, options, or Forex. From everyone here at NOFT, good hunting out there and happy trading. Here's Troy.
What we do first thing here in the morning, particularly on Mondays, I'm going to look at the outlook for the entire week, as well as we'll go through our morning brief or our morning call. I see Jason and Kyle have made it into the room. I'm sure Jay will be following here in just a second, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. MJ and PL, you guys probably need to just refresh your screen and maybe log back in. Usually that will take care of the problem. Also, you'll find that Chrome and Firefox seem to be the best browsers to use with the room. All right, well, that being said, let's go ahead and start. So looking at the Forex Factory calendar here, you'll see that today, Monday, December 18th, we have very, very little news for today. We do have the NAHB Housing Market Index as a yellow item, which is low impact. Not particularly interested in this particular number. I am very interested in housing as in general. And basically, that's all we have for the U.S. today is at 10 o'clock. It's going to be a no-brainer. Nothing's going to be going on associated with this particular item. For you guys who trade some of the after-hour stuff, New Zealand dollar has a red event, business confidence, and the Aussie monetary policy meeting minutes at 7:30 p.m. Those will be big. Both of those are big news events. For the New Zealand dollar, which is the 6N, for you guys, for those futures guys who'd like to trade that. The 6N and the 6A is the Aussie dollar. So those are some of the futures contracts that'll be in movement later on today. Remember that the monetary policy meeting minutes is just like the Fed here in the U.S., so it's a big deal over in Australia. 6A will definitely have some increased volatility around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. On Tuesday here, we have building permits, current account, and housing starts. Building permits is a red, housing starts is a medium impact. These are important stuff. I definitely am paying attention to building permits and housing starts as they project what is going to be happening in the near future. Just a little FYI, my background, I had my own construction company for about 12 years, much younger years. And so I have intimate knowledge on building permits and housing starts. Building permits have changed over the years to where they are more and more expensive for builders to get. So you're not going to go out and get a building permit and then not follow through with building the house. Okay, so it used to be that building permits would mean it may happen in the future. Somebody's already pulled their permits, they're getting started, they're thinking about it. Not the case anymore, okay? Building permits, once they're pulled, there's going to be a house built because in some places, New York, California, it can cost thousands of dollars. I'm talking about 10 grand and up to just get a building permit. And so there's a lot more at stake now than there used to be on building permits. It used to be you could just go down to the county courthouse and file for a building permit, and it costs you $50. Not the case anymore. So the building permits has become a really important number. Housing starts also not quite as important because weather's going to affect housing starts, and really if they have a permit, I know they're going to build a house, so the permit becomes more important. The rest of the numbers on Tuesday, all minor numbers, not particularly interested. We have a Fed member speaking. They don't have a time for that, but normally they pre-publish their speeches, and those have already, they're old news by the time they actually start speaking. That being the case, looking further ahead to Wednesday, we have the Bank of England, Governor Carney, speaking 8:15 in the morning. That will affect the 6B, maybe even the euro as well. Always interesting to see what the this is like Fed speaker Yellen speaking over here. So very important. Everybody will be listening. At least the people in England will be listening to what he has to say, and investors, of course, will be listening as well. We jump to 10 a.m. Existing home sales. Again, a medium impact, not as big an impact as new home sales, because obviously existing homes, yes, there will be an economic boon when someone buys an existing home because they repaint, they remodel, they put new carpet in. So there's always an extra boon there, but not as much as a new house. But I do watch existing home sales, because when existing home sales are brisk, that means there's a lot of demand, and usually that spills over into new homes. So very interesting number. I do pay attention to that. At 10:30 a.m. we have crude oil inventories. This is a weekly inventory number, and if you are a crude oil trader, you must pay attention to this. There will be increased volatility into crude during right around and during this actual release of information. So be careful on Wednesday 10:30 if you're a crude oil trader. New Zealand has GDP, again a big number if you're a 6N trader. The 6N is really kind of thin. It's hard to trade. It's one of the more obscure currencies we don't necessarily trade. We do, however, trade the 6J, which is the yen, monetary statement, and Bank of Japan policy rate, all coming out on Wednesday. I'm guessing Wednesday evening. That's usually when that happens. So there will be some action in the yen Wednesday evening. December 21st on Thursday. Not a lot of U.S. stuff. Obviously, there's a bunch of Canadian things going on, the main one being retail sales and CPI. Those will affect the 6C. So that's why we cover those and look at those. For the U.S., we have final GDP and the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index and unemployment claims. Those two are big. I like the unemployment claims, but even more the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, because this really does give us an idea of what the underlying manufacturing is doing. So I do watch the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. It is projected to be lower than previous. Be interesting to see what exactly pans out there. And then, of course, on Friday, we have 8:30. We have core durable goods, core PCE price index, durable goods, personal spending, and income. Going back to my previous rant from last week, if it says core, I ignore it. I don't care what they're going to subtract out of it. Core is bull. Durable good order is the number I'm really more interested in, the core number. Core number is basically a number that the economists have decided to try to make smooth, and they pull out some of the higher volatility stuff, which I just completely disregard. I want the full number. The full number is what makes sense, not the underlying cores. It's just stupid to pull anything out of the data. Anyway, that's another time. We have new home sales, also a very, very important number. Again, I pay a lot of attention to these in getting these components all together to make up the macro environment, a macro view that I have. Also at 10 a.m. we have the revised University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report and inflation expectations, all very, very interested, since consumer sentiment and inflation impact the market in a gigantic way, because most of the U.S. economy, 2/3 to 70% of the U.S. economy is based on consumer spending, and consumer sentiment becomes extremely important. So that's for the whole week. Now, we have a holiday thing we need to talk about. So here we are. This is the last Friday. This Friday is the last Friday before Christmas. Traditionally, this entire week has lower volume, but the volumes distinctly start dropping off on Wednesday as the majority of Wall Street will start moving towards the Christmas holiday and will start leaving early. Probably be very little activity after Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon it'll start really getting slow. So Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, and Friday will be very, very slow, low volume days. Now, that does not mean there won't be opportunity. There's always opportunity. The kicker here is that on lower volume, specific news items can really spook the market because there's not a lot of volume to offset some of the news. And so we could see higher volatility, and the movement that does happen may be reversed later on when the bigger players come back into the market after the holidays. So that is always a concern. Starting today, tomorrow, I think will be good days. Wednesday, we'll start seeing volume drop off, and I'll have to go into being very careful. By careful, I mean I'm going to be a little bit tighter stops and probably a little less aggressive on my targets. The ability of the market to move is certainly there because less volume means we could move a lot faster. But that being said, it's perfectly plausible that Thursday and Friday, maybe even Wednesday, we could see very, very flat sideways markets just because there's nobody around to really trade. So keep that in mind. Of course, the Christmas holiday will be next Monday. Of course, the trading room will be closed. Then you have 4 days going into the new year. Again, next week we'll see a lower volume due to the holidays. Volume really won't pick up until January 2nd or January 3rd is when it really will start getting back to normal. So we want to be careful towards the end of this week as volumes shift. That being said, let's go ahead and have Jason go ahead and cover the ES and the NQ, and then Jay will jump in and Kyle will bring it up with the currencies at the end.